What's hot in Bengaluru's housing market? What's selling? How are prices moving? And what are some of the future growth corridors in this sought-after IT city? Welcome to the Property Show. And if you're looking to buy a home in Bengaluru, get ready to note down some insights. Joining me today, Abhishek Kapoor, CEO at Purvankara, Samir Jasuja, founder and CEO of PropEquity, and Srinivasan Gopalan, chairman, Unitern Advisors. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. And of course, the first question goes to the developer who has the hard job of selling. Abhishek, how have sales been in the first quarter, April to June? Last year, Purvankara reported 9% increase in sales booking. And the reason I ask the question with a little bit of skepticism is because there seems to be some nervousness with respect to IT and startup jobs now.
Thank you, Manisha, for having me on the show. So from the developer's point of view, I think the numbers are generally looking very, very good. The last quarter for us has been fantastic. We have shown 64% growth year on year in the last quarter without any new launches. So we did about 513 crores. And when you say it was 9% last year, actually it was 51% for under construction and new launches. In fact, our ready to move in inventory, because we ran out of it, it's got sold out. In fact, that dropped by 67%. So as far as new launches were concerned and under construction was concerned, it grew by 51% last year. And this year, already in the first quarter, we have shown growth of about 64%. I kind of don't agree with this nervousness on the IP piece. I'll tell you the reason why. The numbers say it all, first of all. And another report that was published very recently by a consulting firm said that we are already on a half-yearly basis over 20,000 units in a market which has seen at peak between 40 and 50,000 units a year. So we are already getting back to far ahead of our pre-COVID levels and in fact on the peak levels of earlier absorption years, which was in 14, 15 and 16. So overall, I think the market's doing very well. IT space take up as well as the RFPs which are out there in the market have gone up. They are projecting that we will cross the pre-COVID levels of 14 million square foot this year in terms of commercial absorption, IT space absorption. And a lot of people are now back in the city because of the schools reopening. They were all staying here. They'd gone back to their hometown. So a lot of people are back in the market. So overall, I think, I think the business is doing good.
Okay. Samir, the data that we've received from you, which is PropEquity, essentially shows that, look, right now, at least Bengaluru seems to be away from the heydays of 2016. The numbers that we saw of peak sales in 2016, and because Abhishek mentioned, I must bring that number up, was 63,000 units. Where do you think 2022 will land? Because previous years as well, last year was a recovery year. Everyone realized the value of a home, but Bengaluru ended at about 25,000 units, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, take it on the data. What are you seeing?
Yeah. So, Manisha, definitely Bengaluru has done much better compared to last year. We've just released the April to June numbers. The numbers say that 8,457 units have been launched in the last quarter and about 12,000 units have been absorbed. So, like the other panelists suggested that numbers have been very good in terms of sales. That has been a fact. We're reaching an annualized number of 50,000 units on that, which is very, very good. In addition, we have 10,000 plots that come up in Bangalore every year, or more than that, between 10 and 12,000 units of plots. So overall, the supply is 18,000 units, or you can say 12,500 units a quarter. Adding the plots also onto it. We are still far away from the peak numbers. That was because of the consolidation of developers, and that will take some time because the branded developers are doing very well and they are launching a good amount of inventories coming into the market through them. But the tier 2 developers are not launching that much, which is restraining Bangalore from achieving its numbers of 15, 16.
Okay, so you're saying the supply is definitely down quite a bit, almost 55% from 2018 to 2022 as I'm looking at the numbers. Sales drop, if I look at 2018 to now, has been about 36%. But what you're saying is that we've only seen for 6 months. We might actually end at 50,000 sort of units along with plots that your Bengaluru is selling.
In terms of absorption.
in terms of absorption. So, and the peak was 63,000. So, 50,000 versus 63,000 is what we are looking at. Okay, then let me come, Srini, do you share this optimism that the curve is definitely up and, you know, maybe another year or so to reach the peak levels of 2015-16? Or do you think that that was one of the euphoric periods we may not see for some time in any of the top cities of India?
No, so I don't think we are not peaked. I think we are peaked. I share completely the entire optimism on the real estate side. You have to also compare 63,000 units sold by how many developers. There's been a significant amount of consolidation, and as you rightly said, the branded developers are selling with a 69% growth and a 50% growth, but there is a dud also in the tier 2 and the tier 3 developers who are not launching and not selling. So very clearly, the sales are at its peak and they are doing well, and good amount of faith in the market, which will keep this euphoria on. So completely positive on the real estate side.
If it is so euphoric, why is the price rise looking so muted? 10% over 4 years is about 2 to 3% annualized. So really just an end users market. Abhishek, let Abhishek take this question. Or is it again that developers such as such as you have been able to charge higher increases to the end consumer? Because last 4 years I'm just seeing very, very muted price rises in even longer.
Manisha, see, when you look at average price rises across the city, what happens is you look at two things. One is you also have a lot of developers who are not grade A developers, right, in that category. So they may have given discounts. The second thing that is there is the mix of inventory. So a lot more of affordable or a mid-income housing may have got sold. So it's a overall average that you're looking at, and hence it may not be exact representative of how the prices have gone about. In our understanding, the prices have gone up and on project to project and micro market to micro market basis. Most of the branded developers, organized players have increased prices in last 2 years, and largely on account of, especially on account of inflationary pressure and increased commodity prices. But you know, one thing is good about Bangalore, that we are not very greedy. We are, developers and real estate as a community, I think, focuses on volumes, ensuring that everybody gets a home who comes into the city. Okay. So I think it is good. The price appreciation has been there, but on an overall basis, I think Bangalore as a market has remained very, very stable in pricing, and hence you see the kind of absorption that you see in this market. In
fact, even during the peak time, Srini, and we are talking about that 2013-14 period, Bengaluru was one market which never saw more than 8 to 9% increase at its best, right? Which essentially means that, yes, I would agree with Abhishek there, that the developers there seem to be a little bit more sane in terms of price increases, and land continues to remain amply available and reasonably available. Isn't that also one of the reasons why Bengaluru prices don't rise so much?
Yeah, so that's, we are very correct in that as compared to Mumbai. I mean, land is gold in Mumbai. Here I can move all sides, north, south, east, west, northeast, southwest, sub jagah pe there is land available. So that is one thing. And also the comparison of the last 4 years is not very representative, because we have seen a lot of regulatory changes and a lot of confusion in the market, and with COVID also coming in. So I believe that as of today, good brands are selling 10 to 15% more, mainly because of the input cost. If you compare cement from all of them have underwritten cement when it was at 40,000 rupees. Today we are at 65,000 rupees on steel. Similarly, on cement, from a $200 to a $250. So somewhere the prices have to increase. And the last 1.5 years, the new launches are at least 10 to 15% more. And fundamentally, Bangalore is an end user market, which is very good for a city.
Okay.
So those are the factors where we will always see muted increase in prices, but these are stable prices.
All right. Samir, now, I understand that, okay, last 4 years were an outlier, but going forward, everybody buys a home, even an end user is looking for some sort of at least capital appreciation, because rental yields in India are just 2 to 3%, right? So one feels good. I bought a home today. I'd like to see at least a 8 to 10 inflation plus 2 to 3% appreciation in my property that I've bought or I'm living in. Do you think that's possible in Bengaluru, or is that asking for too much, looking at the supply?
It is possible. There are certain pockets in Bangalore, like the ORR Bengaluru side, or if you look at the Hebel side, their price appreciation has been around 10%, also especially of branded developers. So if you look at certain pockets and certain micro markets, Sarjapur, Whitefield, Yelahanka, Devanhalli side, you've seen a good amount of appreciation, whereas if you look at Electronic City side, there has been not so much appreciation over there. So it continues to be an end user market, but yes, certain pockets is seeing excessive demand. And as I mentioned to you, 8,000 supply and 12,000 absorption, which means that slowly the prices will start going up higher than what they've been going up previously. And also, just would like to add one more point that overall amongst the top 10 cities, Bangalore numbers are on the 4th. So Bangalore is 4th in the top 10 cities of India in the recent quarter. So it's not been that bad with respect to absorption and supply, where certain cities have seen supply, almost negligible supply like the NCR market. Bangalore, on the other hand, it seems to be healthy both on absorption. Supply has come down a bit, but it's only a matter of time where it'll start picking up as well.
Of course, if they find buyers, I'm sure there are enough and more developers in Bengaluru to launch more. That's never going to be a problem. Srini, future growth corridors that you would bet on? I mean, Samir has named a few, but
north and east. I divide Bengaluru into a clock. Starting from 11 o'clock to 4 o'clock, that is the growth corridor.
All right. And why is that?
Because I think there is significant amount of infrastructure which is happening on the north, and the most of the international schools are between the north and the east. And
so east is Sarjapur and north is what? North is towards the airport, new airport.
Yelahanka, the new airport. Yelahanka, Devanhalli, where he mentioned that the prices have gone up by 10 to 15%.
All right.
So not only that, now there is a new category where all branded developers do, which is plotted development, so that the return on capital is faster, right? So these are the places where the growth corridor is. The infrastructure is beautiful in the north. You have close to 20 million square feet of IT space coming there. And Manisha, I reiterate that the infrastructure in the north is beautiful as compared to any other place in Bangalore. Right, the metro.
I'm so happy to hear that, Srini. All right, let's move on to the next one. North, yes, has some infrastructure, but the city really has taken a big setback on the terrible traffic and poor infrastructure. Huge bottleneck for developers as well. Abhishek, and the Prime Minister went and said, gave the state government 40 months to fix traffic issues. It doesn't really happen like that.
See, I think two things that are really happening that's really good for Bangalore. The metro work is going on full swing now. In fact, the extension to the north, more and more lines are getting activated. So as that happens, and of course, the city has undertaken the whole initiative of becoming a smart city. There is a lot of work that is going on the infrastructure side. I am quite hopeful that over the next 2-3 years, things will improve significantly, and we will see as these lines become more and more active and people start using more and more public transport, a lot of improvement in terms of traffic and transportation will be there. And as developers and as an industry, I think responsible large developers are also undertaking traffic planning, understanding how they should do their entry and exit, especially for commercial projects, because that's where major traffic comes in and goes out. So I think that traffic planning, obviously with organized developers thinking about those things is also going to make a difference to the city. Manisha, if I can just add one point on the pricing bit. I wanted to just say that any project that you undertake with a branded developer, a good organized player, you will see price appreciation from anywhere between 25-30% to 50% from the time of launch to the time of completion. So real estate as an asset always appreciates. On an overall market average, it may look different. But any project that you look at in terms of investment, you will always see that the prices appreciate anywhere between 30 to 50% from launch to possession.
And launch to possession is how much? How long is launch to possession?
Oh, so that's typically between say 3 to 4 years time frame. And if you look at a 3-4 year time frame, actually you're paying over a period of time. So on an average, incremental benefit or return on investment is quite significant because you're actually invested only 50% of capital on an average.
Well, 50% goes literally in the first 6 months. I'm glad you at least said that, Abhishek.
No.
All right, so you're saying, what I'm coming back to is, look, I mean, you can get 10 to 12% to 15% appreciation even in a Bengaluru market at this point in time. Your growth corridors that you're betting on, would you agree that because North wins on infrastructure and there's a lot of IT absorption happening between North and East, those are the markets to watch out for?
Definitely, North and East will continue to be very, very buoyant. But South and in fact West is quite not looked upon. There is a lot of warehousing and industrial activity in that market, and whenever a good a large development comes along, there is a significant absorption that happens in that market as well. But definitely, my bet is also on North and East of that.
East. All right, Srinivasan, Abhishek and Samir Jasuja, thank you very much for joining me and giving us those insights on Bengaluru market. When we come back, we bring you a simple property explainer on what the latest 18% GST on rental housing even means and who will it impact, if at all.